Welcome to the Curious Calculator. In today's video, we're going to be going over the following problem and also how to and how not to check for extraneous solutions. So we want to solve the following for real solutions of x. Now, if we kind of just take a step back for a moment and look at this, we might recognize that there will be no real solutions of x, and that's because we are trying to add 1 to the fourth root of some number to get 0. But the fourth root of some number will always be positive because the fourth root is an even root, which always results in a positive number. So we can't add 1 to a positive number and get 0. All right, so let's see what would happen if we do try to solve this. So let's see here. Let's subtract 1 from both sides, and we're going to get 4x plus 8 equals negative 1. Now we can raise both sides to the fourth power. We'll get x plus 8, which, because it undoes the fourth root here, and then negative 1 raised to the fourth power will be 1. Now we can go ahead and subtract 8 from both sides, and we'll get x equals negative 7. Now we can go ahead and check for this solution, and I'm going to do this in a couple of different ways. And one way will be the correct way, one will not be the correct way, and we'll go over why we do not want to check extraneous solutions in that way. So the first way I'm going to do it, this is the way we want to check. So we will have the fourth root of negative 7 plus 8 plus 1 equals 0. That will be the fourth root of negative 7 plus 8 is 1 plus 1 equals 0. And the fourth root of 1 will just be 1. That'll be 1 plus 1 equals 0, which is 2 equals 0. Now this is not true. And therefore we can see that this is an extraneous solution and that the original problem has no solutions. Now let's go ahead and see another way that we might try to check this. Well, let's go over why that is not correct. So what we might do is we might go, okay, let's plug in negative 7 here. Let me see if I can, we'll do it down here. So the original one is x plus 8 plus 1 equals 0. Let's plug in that negative 7 here. So 4, negative 7 plus 8 plus 1 equals 0. Then what we might do is we might subtract 1 from both sides and get 4, negative 7 plus 8 equals negative 1. And maybe at this point we'll add these together. So we'll get 4. The fourth root of 1 equals negative 1. And then we might do what we did when we were solving for this and raise both sides to the fourth power. And this will undo the fourth root on the left. And then on the right, raising negative 1 to the fourth power will result in positive 1. And then we'll get that 1 equals 1. And then we might think that this is a solution. But this is not the way that we want to check for extraneous solutions, because what we did here, the crucial feature of this that made this wrong, was we raised both sides of this equation to the fourth power, which essentially undoes the fourth root here. But we do not, whenever we're checking for extraneous solutions, we do not want to ever undo our radicals, whatever they are. And because whenever we are solving for it, what ultimately introduces the extraneous solutions in the first place is undoing the radicals whenever we are trying to solve for x. That is what introduces the extraneous solutions. So if when we're checking for extraneous solutions, we undo the radicals, then that is just going to introduce the extraneous solutions again. All right, so that will wrap up this video, and I want to end it with a little fun fact from philosophy. Did you know that in Plato's book Phaedro, he likens the soul to a charioteer and two winged horses? One of these horses represents the passionate side of our soul that strives towards higher values. The other horse represents the part of our soul that desires the more pleasurable things, and the charioteer acts as the reason part of our soul, which attempts to make the two horses collaborate for the better.